All right. Hey. Hello, hello, hello. We are live. Rocky, you there?
I'm here. Can everyone?
Yeah, just throw a Y in the chat room if you can hear both of us. All right. Looks like we are good to go. Awesome, awesome. Well, we'll give everybody about another minute to get in the room, and then we will get rolling. So, yeah, it looks like a lot of people are still piling in. Where are you guys from? Where's everybody from? I'm here in the U.S. Rocky's up in Canada. Where are you guys at in the world? Hey, Juan. Thanks for being here. Oh, wow. That is moving really fast. Crazy. Okay. I'm just trying to see. I see everything from Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Australia, Asia. Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming, guys. We have got a really packed class for you guys today. We are going to be jumping into the live markets here in a second. Yeah, Rocky, do one more mic test. I just want to make sure that's working.
Testing, 1, 2.
All right. How's the audio, guys? Is it coming through clearly? Just say good if both of our audio sounds good. And let me do a screen test for the charts. Can you guys see the Bitcoin daily chart here? You should be able to see BTC USD here on the Coinigy chart. Awesome. All right. Woo. You know, these things are always a little funny because it seems like, you know, we do these classes about once a month like this with a big group. And there's always something kind of on the tech side that wants to go crazy right before we get started. And that was screen sharing, but I think we've got it fixed. So looks like we are good to go. So I see we've still got a lot of people kind of pouring in, but we're going to go ahead and just kick this thing off. We've got close to 900 people in the room right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some Q&A at the end, but we've got about 45 to 60 minutes of training and just kind of some live market action that we want to go through. So yeah, with that said, we're going to kind of toggle on and off the chat box here because there's just no way for us to keep up with questions. So when we call for questions, we'll turn it on and you guys will have the opportunity to do some Q&A here. So. All right. Okay, so can you guys see the screen that says, welcome to the Skill Incubator's live market masterclass, how to profit trading cryptocurrencies during price booms and crashes, even if you're a complete beginner. If you guys can see that, just throw a Y in the chat box there. And then we will go ahead and get it kicked off. Awesome. All right, thanks, guys. So how many of you type a number 1 if you are here from 99 Bitcoin? Type a number 1 in the room if you're from 99 Bitcoins. I'm just curious. Awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome guys. Yeah, so we've partnered with 99 Bitcoins on this live class today. And also, I know a lot of you guys are following Carter Thomas, who's another just really awesome YouTuber in the crypto space. So welcome to those of you who are here either in Carter's community or from 99 Bitcoins, or if you follow me on YouTube or Rocky. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And with that said, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Awesome. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and just toggle off the Bitcoin or Bitcoin. I'm going to toggle off the chat so we can focus on the lesson. And then I'm going to turn the chat on when we do Q&A. And last time, so we did a live big class like this about a month ago. And we ended up going a little bit long. So my goal is to try to keep these classes about 90 minutes, but we may go a little bit longer on what kind of questions you guys have. So any distractions and just focus in, over the next hour or so, I'm just going to try to pack a ton of value into this class. I know we've got people here from all over the world and different experience levels. So actually, before we get started, I'm going to pop up this poll to kind of figure out where you guys are at with your cryptocurrency, either trading or investing. And so I just popped that up. And the question is, what is your cryptocurrency trading and investing experience? The first option is I'm either brand new to Bitcoin and altcoins. Maybe you haven't bought anything yet. Or maybe you've bought a little bit of cryptocurrency over the past couple of years, but you're not like actively trading. Or you are actively trading cryptocurrency. So just click whichever one is most relevant for you. It looks like we've got so far about 44% saying they're brand new. So about half of you guys. Wow, that's awesome. So we've also got about 35 to 40% that have bought a little bit but aren't really active, and then about 20% that are actively trading cryptocurrencies. So awesome. So Rocky, that kind of tells me, we want to focus on the foundational stuff and talk maybe more in terms of investing and actively swing trading and stuff like that. What do you think?
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan, Chris.
Awesome. So, all right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Thanks for the feedback, and we'll go ahead and just get this kicked off. So this is what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to start by talking about our 3 best strategies for trading and investing in cryptocurrencies. So for those of you that are new, hopefully this will give you kind of a perspective on just a really smart way to approach the markets. I just see so many new people coming into cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people kind of treat it like, a casino where it's like, hey, let me just throw money at this market and hope that I get rich. And while that's worked for a lot of people over the past few years, I want to just help you guys understand not only just the rewards that come with cryptocurrencies, but also the risks, and specifically the 3 ways that we trade and invest with cryptos. Also, we're going to jump into the live market. So this is a live class, and we're going to first kind of start off by showing you guys some of our strategies and looking at some charts. And then we're going to look at the live markets and show you some step-by-step analysis to kind of bridge that gap between theory and actually doing something. And also, we're going to talk about how to profit when Bitcoin and altcoin prices crash. A lot of people don't know that you can actually make money when the price of a market goes down. And we're also going to talk a little bit about why we love when governments and the media actually talk negatively about cryptocurrencies. There's been a lot of emotion in the headlines lately with, China banning Bitcoin. And then you kind of have prominent banking CEOs. Some are coming out and talking negatively about Bitcoin, and some are just singing its praises. And so it's just a really interesting time to be in the space. And we're also going to talk about our favorite trade setups for going into October 2017 and beyond. You know, the markets are dynamic, meaning they're always changing. And so the strategies that we've employed are also always changing. So we're going to show you what we think is working best today. Also, for anybody that doesn't already have a copy of my book, for those of you that are able to stick with us to the end of the class, I'm going to email you a free digital copy of my book, How to Trade Bitcoin for Serious Profit, even if you're a complete beginner. So, you know, again, even if you're somebody who's brand new and you're like, Chris, I've never traded like even a baseball card, let alone a financial instrument, this will help kind of solidify the foundation for you. So wanted to make sure that everybody gets a copy of that. And then before we dive in, just a quick risk disclaimer, you know, cryptocurrencies and specifically trading and investing in crypto is extremely, extremely risky, guys. This is a new market. It's a fast evolving market, and we're not investment or trading advisors. You know, we don't make like recommendations to buy or sell anything. We're not, you know, going to tell you how to balance your portfolio, stuff like that. There's no guarantees in the financial markets. And the biggest thing is, guys, don't trade or invest with money that you can't afford to lose. Meaning, like, if you need money for groceries or rent or a mortgage payment, like that is not money that you should put into a high risk market like cryptocurrencies, right? You want to have risk capital that you can invest and not worry about losing, because if you worry about losing your money in the markets, you're not going to make smart investment or trading decisions. So with that said, for anybody that is kind of new to the Skill Incubator, or if this is your first class with us, first of all, I just want to say welcome and thank you for taking the time to join us today. Over the next hour or so, we're going to really just pack as much value into this class as we can. And I just want to do a quick introduction for myself and Rocky. My name's Chris Dunn. I'm a cryptocurrency investor and swing trader. And I actually have a background in equities. So I've traded stocks for a little over 15 years. And in 2013, I went all in on crypto. I stopped day trading the stock markets and I went headfirst into cryptocurrency. And in 2014, I founded a company called the Skill Incubator, and basically we're based out of Austin, Texas. We do training for entrepreneurs, investors, and traders. And through the Skill Incubator, we do investments in startups, particularly in obviously fintech, financial technology, and also education. And so I've been investing in traditional startups as an angel investor, also in ICOs and kind of the new form of fundraising, which is actually outpaced this year. Cryptocurrency startups have outpaced traditional angel and venture capital. So that's just really exciting. And just to give you a little context and kind of some history, you know, my first blog post about Bitcoin back in November 2013 was actually kind of negative about Bitcoin. I was warning of a bubble when price went from about $100 to close to $1,000. And I took a lot of heat for that. And then last month, I actually did another video talking about like how to prepare for a cryptocurrency bear market. Maybe some of you guys saw that video. I think it has like 250,000 views. But the funny thing about that is anytime I say something negative or bearish about the price of Bitcoin, like a lot of people get really riled up because, you know, there's this mentality that we just want the price to keep going up and up and up and up forever. But the video that I released yesterday is called Why Pullbacks and Why Crashes in the Price Are Actually Healthy for Bitcoin, right? If a market goes up too fast, too big, too fast, that's actually not sustainable. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about like market cycles and why you really want to pay attention to the price and the historical price action. That way you can make smart investment and trading decisions. Okay. So Rocky, I'll go ahead and pass it to you, man.
Sounds good, Chris. All right. So my name is Rocky, aka Crypto Hustle. I'm a cryptocurrency investor, trader, swing trader. Been living off of crypto for the past several years. I run the cryptocurrency trading room. I also own the site cryptohustle.com. And yeah, pretty much I just find as many ways as I can to make money in the markets off of crypto. And this year has been absolutely amazing returns on everything. Lots of volatility, lots of volume, tons of great stuff happening. So looking forward to seeing where it goes, actually, because it does seem like we are on the cusp of hitting mainstream consumer adoption.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just tell you guys a quick story. You know, back in 2014, Rocky was actually a student of mine, and I just noticed, I'm like, man, this guy's a beast. Like, he's always trading, like he's taking every opportunity he can find. And, you know, it's funny. His name is actually very fitting, Crypto Hustle. I mean, this guy just hustles 24/7 nonstop, doing research on all the new coins coming out, every opportunity he can find. And, you know, whenever I saw how well he was doing a few years ago, I was like, Rocky, you got to come on board with the team and, you know, just share your knowledge, because you have a wealth of information and skill set that you've developed. So I'm really happy to have him part of our community and actually leading the community. And I'll just give you a little insight as to what we do. So Skill Incubator, we have a cryptocurrency community. And what we do is we do in-person training. So this was actually a few weeks ago. We had about 20 of our students come into Austin, Texas. We did a 3-day seminar with them. We have thousands of students all around the world. And actually last month, we just launched our a beta group into our 60-day boot camp. So a little bit later, after we're done with the class, I'll tell you guys what that's about. And we are opening up some spots in our October boot camp. So for those of you that are interested in it, I'll tell you what that's about. And if it's a fit for you, great. If not, that's cool too. Like, this is a no pressure class. Like, my goal over the next hour or so is just to deliver as much value in the shortest period of time that we can. And then those of you that want to go deeper with us and do daily trading and training, awesome. And if not, again, that's cool too. So I know we have about half of you guys said you're like brand new to cryptocurrencies. So what we're going to do is an overview of how to get started, even if you've never taken a trade before. Okay. So I just want to quickly, hopefully by now, most people know what Bitcoin is, but just to do like a 30-second quick overview, Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency, right? It's a currency that is like digital cash. Like, literally you can send money around the world very, very quickly, basically for next to free, with no bank or government red tape, right? So, you know, I can hire a developer in Myanmar or in Argentina and pay them instantly with no, you know, cross-border problems, no currency conversion problems. It is quite literally changing the world in so many ways that we can't even fully understand yet. And so there are several ways that you can actually get started with Bitcoin. And we're going to talk about like the 4 ways that you can actually acquire your first Bitcoin or altcoins if you don't have any yet, or if you're still looking to get started. The first thing that you could do is you could buy Bitcoins or altcoins with fiat currency, like the dollar or the euro or the yen, whatever, right? And you can do that either through an online exchange or from an individual, right? Like local Bitcoins. I read something the other day that said they're just crushing record-breaking volume right now. You know, people around the world are buying and selling Bitcoin to and from each other in record numbers. And it just seems like every week and month, we're just breaking new and more records. The other option that you have is to mine them, right? So mining is the activity that actually supports the cryptocurrency networks, right? And you can either buy mining equipment, or you can do like cloud mining. Rocky, do you want to speak a little bit to this? I've actually never mined before. I focus on the trading and investing side, but Rocky does have some experience with this. So Rocky, do you want to shed some light on what your experience was with mining?
Sure. Well, my experience with mining started in the tail end of 2013. And my first experience was getting ripped off on a couple of pre-order schemes and getting scammed a few $1,000s. So that was my initiation, trial by fire into crypto. So after that, I actually just built a milk crate rig using graphics cards, and I wasn't mining Bitcoin at the time because it had shifted over to ASICs, which are these specialized machines that stands for application specific integrated circuits. So they're like these special supercomputers, and their sole purpose is to mine Bitcoin. So you need one of those special machines, and it's always you always need the most recent hardware to stay on top of things, because this type of hardware goes obsolete very fast. An alternative to mining Bitcoin would be to mine altcoins. Altcoins like Ethereum, Zcash, or any array of new coins hitting the markets, mineable coins hitting the markets that aren't tokens. And you can mine these with regular graphics cards, and you have a little bit more of an edge if you do that, because you can mine new coins before they get launched onto the exchanges. And your graphics cards won't go obsolete as fast. I mean, they actually still have a resale value because you can use them for other things besides mining, right? So, but cloud mining, you probably want to stay away from. I mean, I think Genesis mining is probably the most legit out there, but it's questionable as to whether or not you're going to be profitable with cloud mining. Most cloud mining out there are just running either fractional reserves or Ponzi schemes, right? Because anybody can have a website and say, oh, look at my mining equipment, give me money and I'll give you hashing power, and let's say they have 100 gigahashes of hashing power, and they're selling 500 gigahashes, right? Well, there's no way to verify or audit that. So but trading is way more profitable, in my opinion, and it's way less work and less maintenance. But you got to really have a love for tinkering around with the technology and researching new markets if you're going to get into mining.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks, Rock. So the third option is you can earn Bitcoin or altcoins, right? You can get a job, you can be a freelancer, bounties, right? There's different ways to actually work for and earn Bitcoin. And like Rocky said, I mean, he's been living 100% off of Bitcoin income for like 4 years now. And then the fourth option, which is really what we're going to cover today, is you can invest and or trade them, right? So once you acquire your first Bitcoin or altcoins, then you can actually grow your accounts. You can grow your wealth through actively buying and selling, right? And we're going to actually show you a couple of different strategies, particularly the ones that have been the most profitable for us this year, and really just talk about the different options that you have, right? You might be sitting at home saying, well, I work full time. I don't want to necessarily be like a quote unquote day trader. And I just want to invest or maybe like catch the big moves, the big trends, right? Or you might be more like Rocky and you're like, no, I want to catch every freaking trade that I can possibly find and just knock it out of the park and be, all in 24/7, 365 crypto, right? or anything in between, right? Like it's crazy the diverse like options that you have when it comes to investing and trading. And so we're going to cover like the three major ways that you can profit through doing that. But go ahead.
It's funny. The more money I make, the more profit I make, the more relaxed I become about trading, I mean,
the more confidence you develop and the more you just knock them out of the park, the kind of the easier they come, right? The easier you see it.
Yeah, exactly. I just I mainly kind of try to focus on the bigger moves now, and ride trends. A lot of this year has been all about trend riding. You could hold a position for months and make crazy profits just by being patient.
Absolutely, man. Okay, so let's just talk about like quickly 5 steps how to get started trading Bitcoins and altcoins. Okay, so like we talked about the different ways that you can actually acquire them. If you want to start trading, the first thing that you want to do is sign up with cryptocurrency exchanges, right? Some of the major ones like Coinbase, aka like GDAX is their active trader platform. Poloniex, Bittrex, right? Like there's now exchanges popping up all over Asia. Like I just saw, Korea is now launching an altcoin exchange with over 100 altcoins. And, so there's just literally like, this is a global phenomenon, right? So step one, sign up with a cryptocurrency exchange. It only takes a few minutes to actually get started. And then a lot of the exchanges right now have like AML, KYC, like know your customer, and anti-money laundering stuff. So they have to verify your identity. But to get started, it really only takes a couple of minutes. And then you want to buy a little bit of Bitcoin just to learn the basics. If you've never bought Bitcoin before, like, and look, the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is there's no minimum transaction size, right? Like if Bitcoin is say $4,000 or $5,000, like a common misconception is, well, I have to buy one Bitcoin. Bitcoin's actually divisible down to the 8th decimal place. So you can buy, $1 or $5 worth of Bitcoin if you want to. And so I think, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I think everybody on the planet should at least own at least a little bit of Bitcoin just to understand how it works, right? And practice sending it to wallets and just learn the basics, right? And then the third step is you want to pick a trading style, right? Like you want to figure out, okay, well, how do I want to approach this? Do I just want to be a long-term investor or a hodler? Do I want to swing trade? We'll talk about what that is. Do I want to scalp? And then from there, just get prepared and wait for the best trades. A lot of people just think they have to jump in the market and just buy, or sell. Like, effective trading and investing is all about being patient and waiting for like what we call the A+ rated trades, right? Like we don't take trades every day. We just sit back and wait for the best of the best plays to come along. And then you enter an opportunity when it presents itself and you manage it. And so we're going to jump into the live market, and we're going to also show you some recent trades and kind of walk you through the mentality of why we took the trades and kind of what we're forecasting also for the next like 30 days in the markets. All right. So with that said, let's jump into the 3 different ways or the 3 different strategies to actually profit trading cryptocurrencies. Okay. The first one is what we call pre-hype accumulating or pre-hype accumulation. Okay. What does that mean? Well, this is basically where you buy coins at low prices and then exit on public hype. Okay, so this sounds very, very simple, and it is, but a lot of people screw it up because they let their emotions or impatience or greed or fear get in the way. And so we'll show you some examples of this, but pre-hype accumulation is where you find projects early before the masses know about it or before the masses really understand what it's all about and see the value in it, and then you buy low and sell high, right? The second option is what we call swing trading, where you identify a trade in a market and then you hold that for anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks on average. Like sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it might be a multi-month trade, but basically, and this is my favorite strategy. This is what I do the most, is more swing trading. Looking for like these big, we call them pivot to pivot moves in the market where, say everybody's panicking on Monday and we see a good buying opportunity, maybe we'll buy and then we'll wait for 5 to 10 days for a bigger target. And then we'll close the trade and take that profit. Right. And then the third option is scalping or day trading, right? And this is where basically you just quickly enter and exit trades. And the best times that we've identified in the markets to do this is when the market's either panicking, right? When everybody's dumping. Like for anybody that remembers recently over the past couple of weeks, Bitcoin actually crashed 40%. That is a massive, massive loss of value in terms of like billions of dollars, right? Like it went from $5,000 to $3,000 and then rebound. And now we're sitting back up around $4,000. So when you have that type of volatility in a market, if you want to do this, if you want to scalp trade or if you want to day trade, those are the opportunities that are typically best. And again, it's not for everybody. Like day trading requires the highest skill. It requires the most intense focus, but I'm just a really big fan of pre-hype accumulating and swing trading. And then if we have a great opportunity, maybe taking a day trade if market conditions are right. So let's just take a look at some examples. And actually, I'm going to do this. Let's jump into the live market here. Now that we've kind of covered what those strategies are, we'll just show you some examples. So I'm going to turn the chat box on, and if you guys could just type a Y, if you can hear me clearly, if you can see the chart, and you're ready to keep rocking. Yeah, just type a Y in the chat box, and then we will jump into this. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I know we've actually got over 1,000 people in here. So for anybody that came in a little bit late, we're going to be doing Q&A after kind of the hour class, and then so we're going to try to manage the box, because if we just try to take questions in the middle of this, there'd be no way to keep up with it. But yeah, thank you guys, and we will keep rolling. Awesome. So okay, so let's talk about pre-hype accumulation. So if you're looking at prices of a market, Rocky, would you say that Bitcoin is cheap right now?
Nope.
Right now, if you look at where it's been, and look, cheap is relative, right? Like in a year, we may see much higher prices, right? Or even in a month. But what I like to do when it comes to accumulation, meaning like your typical either investing or buy low, sell high strategy long term, like it's really all about looking at where price was relative to where you are now, right? So like, just to give you guys a little example, like 2015 was what we call the accumulation phase, where basically, prices were cheap. For anybody that was around back here, the media was just trashing Bitcoin. And for those of you that are from 99 Bitcoins, the Bitcoin obituaries, right? There was a ton of that stuff that was coming out in 2015, people calling Bitcoin a failed experiment. And, you can kind of understand why. I mean, if you look, this bubble right here, where Bitcoin went from 100 to about 1,000 and then crashed all the way back, right? There's a reason why so many people were just bearish or thinking negatively about Bitcoin. But this is where we were actually, scooping up. And this is what we call the accumulation phase, where when market sentiment is very down, right? When people are very bearish and just very negative about Bitcoin, that's often the best time to buy for long-term holds. And that's what we were doing. This year was not really great for like actively trading or swing trading or scalping or anything like that. It was just kind of a boring like accumulation phase. And then we actually, over the past couple of years through 2016 and then into 2017, we started going into a different market environment where we started getting these big swings, and we would see price double and then have like a 50% pullback, right? And we just saw more volatility. So this market condition is what we call best for like swing trading, right? Where you can take a trade on say a breakout, and we'll talk about what a breakout is. And then in a few weeks, maybe you're up 50 to 100% on that breakout trade, right? That's why actively trading is so much better than just like buy and hoping, because when price is expensive, right, relative to where it was previously, that's really when you want to be more aware of risk, right? When you want to be more thinking about the downside and maybe where you can actively trade. So just to give you some examples in recent history, back here in mid-July, we had a panic, and Rocky actually bought the bottom down here around 2000. Rocky, do you want to just kind of mention what your thought process was and why this was a good swing trade for you?
Sure, absolutely. So leading up to that, as the markets were breaking down, I'd hedged pretty heavy into cash, into USD.
And what do you mean by that, Rocky? Like when you say I hedged into cash, what does that mean?
I basically just like sold a bunch of Bitcoin for USD, just with the intent of buying a dip.
There you go. So Rocky was, again, for anybody who's kind of new to this, Rocky was like buying back, over the past couple of years. And then through like the 2,500 level, he was closing that trade, meaning he was like selling Bitcoin and going back more into fiat.
Yeah. And so I saw that, there was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt related to the, block size debate and the scaling and this and that, a fundamental note. So that's why there was a big sell-off. And I was looking at market sentiment, and I saw that a lot of people were waiting for a dip down to 1300. And initially that was my thoughts too, because it was, prior all-time high resistance turned support. But then I looked at market sentiment and I said, isn't that cute? A lot of people are sitting in USD waiting to buy the 1300 dip. And then I thought it's probably a little bit too premature for that, because usually when you retest the all-time high resistance, that usually happens after the bear cycle, right? And we had just broken out and started the bull cycle. So I thought this is a little bit too early, in my opinion, to be starting going all the way down to that level. So I saw that there was, some structural support down at the other level that you're showing on the chart. So I decided to pull the trigger, buy a dip, and it was one hell of a bounce play.
Then it went up 150% in like a few weeks.
Yeah, and then I basically rode that long up into started taking profit around the 4,000 area. We had 5,000 as a target, so I'd closed at various different areas like midway, at 46 and stuff like that. And then the markets, crashed again. So we bought another dip. We did it. We did it again.
So here's actually a chart. This was from July 15th when price actually panicked down. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's kind of small, but when price was at about 2,000, Rocky sent this trade alert, said, I rebought Bitcoin at this dip because of prior support. And this is what our trade alerts look like for anybody who's not in our trading community. Basically, whenever we take a trade, we usually have like a chart and or a video where we kind of explain, and then we do bullet points showing all of the reasons behind the trade and like what we're expecting, what the trading plan is, right? Because anytime you take a trade, you want to fully think out like the reasons why you're getting in, what your profit targets are, just really think everything through. And so Rocky, anything to add on this trade alert, or like what was like happening back here?
Well, there's also, I noticed that there is notes afterwards, there's also kind of like recharged momentum because we'd been selling off for quite a few days, actually a few weeks we were selling off. So we were overdue for some recharged momentum with buyers, right? Buyers stepping in because sellers have been in control for a while. So it's basically just playing the counterforce and swings of the market. When the market gets too exaggerated to the upside or the downside, that's when you want to start thinking of being a contrarian and going against the herd, right? So in this instance, once I saw how large the initial bullish engulfing candles were when I was bouncing, I decided I was going to ride it, and I felt like we're going to hit the $4,000 and $5,000 area.
Yeah. So basically, just to like keep moving forward on the chart as if this was kind of like going forward in history, once we broke out of that 3,000 mark, the low fours were kind of the first profit target. And then you can see most recently, we got rejected right about $5,000. And there were a couple things that were kind of like news catalysts, right? We had the China ban, we had the JP Morgan CEO coming out and calling Bitcoin a fraud, and just a few things. But I always say, like, for anybody who's never looked at candlesticks before, or even a price chart, if you're thinking like, wow, this looks like spaghetti thrown up against a wall, like that's okay. One thing I'll say about price charts is you can see the fundamental movement. You can see the emotion and a lot of times the news events plotted on price charts. So like, for example, whenever I posted my warning video back in late August calling for like a crash in price, I didn't know where the top was, but you can see after a couple of days of bullishness got to 5,000 and then had like a pretty strong dip, 40% pullback, which is on a percentage basis, just a really, really big move. And then we actually bought the dip here in the low 3,000s. Like I think I was getting fills in between 3,200 and 3,300. And that's kind of where we are today, is bouncing off of that move. But I'll just show you also, like, what day was that? That was I think that was the 14th. Yeah, the big red day. That was the 14th where we were showing that major buy zone at 3,000. And Rocky, where were you getting fills on this? Were you right about 3,000 as well? Or?
I started averaging down a little bit early. I started in at 36, and then I had my biggest orders at 3,000. Then I woke up and the market started to bounce furiously. So I loaded the boat up with some margin too. And I also bought a whack of Ethereum at the $200 level for a quick 30% bounce.
Nice. So I'll just say like, that kind of sparked a thought, you know, for those of you who are saying like, okay, well, I'm new to trading, or I don't really understand like where to buy, where to sell. I'll just give you kind of like the 30,000 foot overview of my opinion, where the best swing trade opportunities come from. So the examples that we were just giving you, these are swing trades, right? These are where, you know, we are buying at a specific area for a specific reason, right? It's not just like, hey, I'm just going to randomly buy at whatever price and I'm just going to hold forever, right? That is what we call buy and hope investing. Not buy and hold, but buy and hope. You just buy and then hope that it goes up, right? But when you use these charts and you learn how to use technical analysis combined with fundamental analysis, that's when you can really start to hone in and you're like, wow, how am I actually buying low and selling high, where most people know that that's what they should be doing, but they actually end up doing the opposite, which is usually caused by a lack of discipline or emotions taking over. So the best swing trade opportunities that I know how to find are either on dips or panics, right? Where, you know, people are just jumping ship there. And whenever the more extreme the panic, typically the more extreme the bounce, right? Like we had just from the high of 5,000, you can see, I mean, we crashed like 40% just over the course of like 2 weeks. But from the bounce, like you can see from 3,000, you know, we've gone back up 40%, right? So instead of being that person that, you know, sees price going down and then you react emotionally and then you end up selling the bottom, you kind of want to flip that on its head and do what doesn't feel natural. And dip buying or buying against panics is one of the best ways to get a really good price when price is expensive relative to where it's been, right? Because just, you know, in January of this year, price was at or below $1,000, right? So what do you do? Like, how do you buy with confidence when price is up literally 500%, you know, 500% in the span of less than a year? Well, the way that you do that is by buying at these very key levels, right? And having a plan and being prepared for that. So in addition to, you know, buying like dips or panics when you're at key levels, and I'll add this, at key levels, that you don't want to just randomly buy when the price is falling. That's like trying to catch a falling knife and, you know, you'll get run over. The other is breakouts, right? Where you have like, you have clear resistance in price level, and then you get a break of that level. So an example of that type of trade is like back here at 3,000, where you can see the market was actually reacting to 3,000 as resistance. We actually had 3 touches here of 3,000 where price couldn't break through it. And then once you finally break through a strong level of resistance, that's where we actually call a breakout. And the nice thing about breakouts is you can typically manage risk a little bit better than trying to buy dips, right? Like when you buy a breakout, you can actually do what we call setting your risk to reward. So like one thing that we look to do in any trade that we take is have what we call a positive reward to risk ratio. So what that means is anytime you take a trade, you're risking capital, right? You're basically placing an educated bet. But the difference between like trading the financial markets and just going to Vegas and putting your money in a slot machine is when you trade the financial markets, you can implement tools and strategies to help you manage risk, right? You can't eliminate risk in the markets, but you can take action to protect your downside, right? So anytime we get in a trade, we want to see the potential to make at least a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio. That means for every dollar that we're willing to risk, we're looking to make at least two. Sometimes we'll get more, sometimes we'll get less. But by doing that, if you're taking what we call high probability trades, where it has a higher than 50% chance of winning, and then your winners on average are bigger than your losers on average, that's what's called a positive expectancy, right? Because trading, you're not going to win every trade, but if you learn how to manage your risk to reward correctly, that's just going to help you become more like the casino instead of the gambler, right? Rocky, anything to add on that with either breakouts or, swing trade opportunities or risk management?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's like several approaches and several ways that you can do it based on the strategy that you're using, and so like if you're taking a bounce play or a breakout trade, that might be different than, let's say, an accumulation play on a newer market. So yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. And often, Bitcoin is quite fascinating because, the traditional stock market, they have, other elements to the fundamentals. I mean, Bitcoin has its own fundamentals as well, as far as, hashing power in the network and, supply distribution and this and that, growth as far as user adoption. And those are the fundamentals of Bitcoin. But mostly the fundamentals are related to supply and demand. We know what the supply is, and then we know that the demand keeps on growing, which is why the price has been going up over the past few years. But what I absolutely love about the technicals of Bitcoin is that for the most part, price discovery, aside from that supply and demand factor, a lot of price discovery is really based off of the technicals, right? Because, Bitcoin's not paying you dividends and it doesn't have annual earnings and stuff like that. And I just find that the technicals can actually sometimes be near perfect when you look at the charts. Like it just plays off of certain levels to it's almost like art. It just really, really can be really, really accurate sometimes.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, because Bitcoin is so volatile and because it's a global market and there's so much new money, technical analysis just works really, really well. Like, coming from the stock market, I saw how computer algorithms and market manipulators and high frequency stuff just kind of ruined trading the stock market for the little guy. And when I say little guy, I mean like anybody trading under $1 million account, right? Like to compete in the stock market today, like you really need to either have some kind of proprietary super fast connection, or be managing a massive fund. Where in crypto, like we've gotten stories and heard from traders around the world, people that, have started with small amounts of money, right? Like $500, $1,000, and done very, very well with that. And I'm not saying that's going to continue forever, because Wall Street is coming for crypto, but it's definitely, the best opportunity that I've seen in the past 15 years that I've been involved in the financial markets. So with that said, I want to show you just a few more examples. There was a crypto called, or there is a crypto called Stratus. This is one that we were getting in, became very interested in last October. So we're coming up on a year now. And so we started getting into this one as an accumulator, right? So you'll notice back here last year, this was actually the pre-ICO, or the ICO price was, what was it, Rocky? Like 0.7 of a penny, something like that. And
yeah, something like that. I don't know the exact ICO price, but I think it was like 5 cents when we got into it.
Yeah, it was in between 3 and 6 cents back here in October. And, we found this coin and we knew like, okay, this is one that we're going to accumulate low. And then, when the hype kicks in, when people wake up and realize that, what this project is all about, that's going to drive the price higher. So one thing that I'll say, guys, about, if you're going to accumulate, So accumulation, here's kind of just a few tips. Only invest an amount that you're willing to lose 100% of your investment, right? And then it's probably a good idea to diversify between a few coins, right? I look at accumulating cheap altcoins early, kind of like angel investments. Like if you think about it, so for anybody that doesn't know, an angel investment is just a fancy way of saying a private investor, not somebody who's managing other people's money. Somebody like me, I would take, say, a $25,000 or a $50,000 check and invest it in a startup, right? Usually it's a tech startup. I kind of look at these altcoins as the same thing. Like if I'm buying low and early, you kind of have to be comfortable with, if this project fails, I'm going to lose 100% of my investment. Therefore, only do a small amount. And a small amount for you might mean $50. It might mean $1 million. It doesn't matter, but whatever a small amount for you is, that's probably the best thing. And this is where you can see just really stupid returns. Like, and this is one of the most extreme examples, and certainly not every crypto does this, but this one went from a few pennies to over $11, right? So this was just a wildly profitable trade. And again, not all of them do this. Some of them you'll get in and they'll just, the developers might disappear or the project fails, and you have to be okay with that. And that's why I think it's just really smart to diversify between a few coins. Rocky, is there any other accumulation strategies or other coins that you think would be a good example with a good lesson?
With other coins, well, there's this year, there's a couple of ones that I got into super early that went really big. GNT was one of them. Mm-hmm. Pretty much bought close to the bottom on that. And then
you bought like right after it hit the exchange, right?
I bought right before it ramped up. Like
okay.
Right on that dip. You see how it sold off, and I bought like right down there.
So what was it that made you? So again, guys, this is an example of an accumulation strategy, right? This isn't, it turned out to be a breakout, but you'll notice like where Rocky was buying, price doesn't look that interesting down here, right? It's like, it's dead, it's flat. Like what was it that made you look at this as a good accumulator?
Well, I saw that, I noticed that some markets on Poloniex start to pop off like Dash. Usually when you get an altcoin bull season, there'll always be a few markets that really start to pop off first, right? They break new highs, they go nuts. But then what ends up happening is that money and liquidity will start cycling through other markets. I saw GNT also look like a promising market. I saw it was close to or slightly below ICO price. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, you know what? We did a live analysis in the room. We looked at the fundamentals, looked at charts. Like I'm gonna buy some of this, and it's pretty much just popped off a 10x. Really, I think again the price. What was the price? I think it was at. I can't remember if it was like 2 cents or 5 cents. Anyways, it was pretty cheap, and it went all the way up to like 60 cents. And I had about three exits. I was trend riding that for a while, and then I had about 3 exits where I got out, which was probably on average 10x as far as the Bitcoin charts are concerned.
Nice. So yeah. So again, just to kind of recap on the chart here, guys, like check fundamentals. Like you obviously don't want to try to accumulate a cheap coin that you don't think is real, right? There's a lot of scams coming out now with ICOs. And so you just want to be really careful. But also, when you have a low price, once it starts to show volume, meaning interest with traders, just know that like this is the highest risk way to start to participate, but it's also can be the highest reward, right? Again, if you're buying before the herd, like you can get really, really nice moves. And this is one that I actually traded as a swing trade. I didn't accumulate this low, but I'll show you what I did. we actually took this one also live in the room as a breakout trade. So this was I think I only held this for like 3 days maybe, but if you guys notice, there's a lot of resistance right through here. So I knew that Rocky was in this. I knew that there was, there was a lot of strength, there was increasing volume, and then we put in 2 touches of this resistance area. And so on this day when we broke through, we were also breaking through kind of a round emotional number. And then you'll notice that we ended up having like 3 or 4 green days, right? Where it basically doubled, almost doubled in the span of less than a week. So this is what I mean, like by taking swing trades on like breakouts, you can just see really, really good risk to reward. So I'll show you what that looks like here. On this one, it was kind of like, the profit targets were at our 100% extension, which is a Fibonacci tool that we use. And then the risk was just below the breakout zone. So typically the way that we do this is we want to buy as close to that breakout level as possible. And then you can usually keep your risk below that prior pivot low. And then the reward is basically, either the first red day or a predefined profit target. So on this one, this breakout example, you're still risking like 25% on that breakout zone, but the reward is like above 50%. So that's it. That again, that's like demonstrating the minimum 2-to-1 risk to reward target, right? And again, some of these go way past the 2-to-1. Some of them fail prior to, but you really, I think if you just eliminate trying to take breakout trades where it's maybe like a 1-to-1 risk to reward, that's just going to help you manage your risk better over time. So that's, just kind of a couple examples of like accumulation, also breakout trades. We've had some really good trades on like Ethereum. Ethereum's a really good breakout trader. You can see every time we put in resistance and buyers are able to hold it up, it's gone from just a few bucks this year to a high of like 400. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump back to the PowerPoint. And actually what I want to do, I'm going to open up the chat. And before we look at, actually, let's do this. Let's look at some scalp examples real quick. So we've talked about accumulation, right? Which is buy low, pre-hype, right? We've talked about swing trading. And now I just want to talk a little bit about scalping or day trading. When it comes to day trading, and look, guys, I am actually very, very rarely do I take a day trade in crypto. I just like to focus on the bigger moves. Like I want to make, 20, 30, 40% on a trade rather than like coming in day after day, wasting hours upon hours trying to scalp for like 2 or 3%, right? But day trading is best when you have a big panic, and a big panic is at least 5% to 10% move in price. Okay. So like if you get a sell off and then it's like, maybe it's like a 2 or a 3% move in the stock market, if the market goes down 2 or 3%, everybody's freaking out. Right. But in crypto, we can see 30, 40, 50% moves in a day, like clockwork. Right. So at a bare minimum, 5 to 10%, and really 10% is kind of pushing it. But if you have a big panic, then you can trade the volatility, right? Meaning the bounce, or you can short breakdowns, right? So meaning like if you get a what we call a follow-on panic, where usually after the first big red day in a panic, you'll get a secondary move. Right. So just to kind of show you an example, like when the market fell off of 5,000, we went from 5 to like 4,000 in a couple of days, had a little bit of a bounce. And then the second move from 4 to 3,000 was even faster. That happened in like 2 days. Right. So if you want to shorting is basically, for anybody that doesn't know, it's where you sell first. right? You sell and then you buy back lower, and you can actually make money when the market goes down, right? So when you have big volatility, meaning big moves behind price, not only can you make money buying dips, but you can actually short and make money when it crashes, when everybody else is kind of freaking out. Rocky, have you had any recent day trades or scalps that you think would be a good example?
Just when the market was dumping, when it was dumping down to 3,000.
Yeah.
That was the last time I was interested in scalping. Other than that, I just kind of haven't been scalping it that much. I only scalp Bitcoin when it dumps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I know there's a lot of people like on Twitter or in like other chat rooms that, you see people just trading, over trading. I think over trading is probably the biggest downfall of newer traders, because you want to come into this and you're like all excited and you just want to take a trade, right? But being patient and waiting for the best plays is where you make your money, right? It's like, as humans, we feel productive the more we do, right? Like the more trades you take, the more productive you feel. But in reality, with trading, it's almost like the less you do, the better. In fact, my motto is trade less, profit more. Like if you just focus on catching like these big breakouts, you don't have to sit in front of your computer all day. Like that's completely unnecessary. So what I want to do, I want to open the chat box and just ask you guys, what of these three strategies, so between either pre-hype accumulation or swing trading, meaning catching kind of the big swings in trades, or scalping, which one of these is most attractive to you? So let me open this up and type either a number 1 for pre-hype accumulation, a number 2 for swing trading, or a number 3 for scalping. Kind of curious which one you guys. Seeing a lot of 1s and 2s, a lot of 2s, swing trade. Either 1 or 2. Moaz says 3. So probably looks like most people are either 1 or 2. 1 and 2. Awesome. Yeah. So, again, guys, like whenever you're starting off, the first thing that you want to do is decide this, right? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to only buy like early pre-hype accumulation? Do you want to, swing trade, catch the big breakouts or the dip buys, or do you want to be a scalper or have all three in your arsenal? I'll tell you, for me, like I tend to focus on swing trading the most. This is where most of my trades this year have come from. And then whenever we find a good project early on, then I'll do like the pre-hype accumulation. And like Rocky said, I mean, Rocky scalps more than I do, but he doesn't even do that, maybe more than what, Rocky, would you say a couple times a month, maybe?
I would say like every few months when Bitcoin dumps.
Yeah. Whenever there's like a panic, right?
Yeah. I could be like a couple of times a month. Like recently we had a few big sell-offs. So
yeah. Awesome. So I'm going to turn back on the PowerPoint here. And so this is actually, I think this is a screenshot from back when price was into that 3,000 resistance level. So you'll notice this was actually a scalp bounce play. So this is a 1 hour chart. So everything that we've been looking at so far has been on a daily chart, meaning every candlestick represents 1 day, where here, this is just 1 hour. So you can see like when price panicked from 3,000, down to 2,500, that's a pretty big percentage drop. And we had a lot of reasons to anticipate a bounce through here. And so in the room, we sent an alert for 2,500 bounce play. And then you can see in the span of maybe like 12 hours, it bounced about 10%. So you can still make good money scalping. It's just, if you try to scalp when like things are real choppy or not moving very fast, you're just going to get run over. This is an example of another swing trade. So you can see like we tend to focus on very simple charts, guys. You'll notice we don't have a lot of indicators everywhere. We focus on market structure, meaning key support and resistance zones. We also use Fibonacci retracement and extension tools. And that's, that's really how we identify where we think big trends are going to start to develop. So this was a swing trade, bought down here kind of mid-April. And then we had this was actually a much longer term trade. We had like a multi-week, almost like probably like a month and a half or so swing where price basically tripled. That was just a really incredible swing trade on Ethereum Classic. That's Stratus. And then here's this only goes through mid 2017 on Bitcoin, but I just want to kind of put into perspective like the different market conditions that we've gone through over the past couple of years. For anybody that's kind of new to this, I'll just, I always like to start with context, and whenever we jump into the live market, you'll know where we've been. So like back in 2013, this is what I call the China bubble, where Chinese people really started driving the price. Granted, there were other factors, but I call it the China bubble of 2013. And then what happened is we actually had a 1-year bear trend. So basically for most of the year in 2014, you can see price was coming down. And this was actually a really great market to short Bitcoin, right? Like if you were just trying to buy dips, you may have made a little bit of money, but the real money was actually shorting Bitcoin. And then 2015, we went to another phase called the accumulation cycle. And then 2016 and first part of 2017 was the early kind of bull trend where we had some great breakout trades. And then over the past several months, we've gone from 1,000, and this chart only goes to 3,000. But, as you guys know, we've reached up to 5,000, and that's also given a lot of breakout trades. So here's one thing that I will say. And Rocky, I want to hear your opinion. I know kind of what you're going to say, but I want to hear it anyway. I'm going to turn the chart back on so I can write. And I'll just say this. So I'll say this. When the price of either Bitcoin or an altcoin is cheap, we accumulate Bitcoin to trade. Okay. And when trade and stack more Bitcoin. And then when the price of Bitcoin or an altcoin is expensive, right? And expensive is relative, right? We actively trade Bitcoin to accumulate more fiat, meaning more like, fiat currency, like US dollars or, whatever your fiat currency is. That way, we have more capital available to buy crypto when we go into a bear cycle. So sorry for so much text, guys, but I think this is a really kind of important point. Again, to kind of recap this. So when the price of Bitcoin is cheap, like 2015, when it was at $200, Rocky and I, had several conversations, and in our trading community, the idea was, look, guys, this is not a great trading environment, but it's a good time to accumulate, right? It's a good time to stack Bitcoin. That way, if the price of Bitcoin goes up, you have Bitcoin that you can actively trade to stack more Bitcoin, right? And then when the price of Bitcoin is expensive like it is now, what we do is we actively trade to accumulate more fiat. So like we'll buy Bitcoin. Let's just use the last trade alert that we had. Say we buy Bitcoin at 3,000 and then sell it at 4,000. Well, you just made $1,000 per Bitcoin. So you take that USD and you have it available, right? You have more capital available to buy crypto for the long-term investment or to accumulate once you go into a bear cycle, once prices fall and Bitcoin is cheap again. Okay. So again, just to show it on the chart, when
final capitulation on Bitcoin so that we can load the bags up when it goes back into accumulation. You know, I think that the new floor, once we complete a full cycle, will likely be around the prior all-time high resistance, closer to $1,300. So that's the area I have earmarked well in advance. Whether it takes a year to get there or months or whatever, it doesn't matter. I've got that area marked in my calendar, my crypto calendar, where I want to start accumulating well ahead of time. So I want to make sure I'm well capitalized in USD if we complete that cycle.
Yeah. So let me just ask you guys, I'm going to turn on the chat box. Just give me a why or a hell yeah if that makes sense, if you kind of understand the mentality between, accumulating to stack Bitcoin to trade, and then when it's expensive to trade to accumulate more fiat. That way, when it crashes, you have more to buy back, right? If that makes sense, just throw a Y in the chat box there and let us know that you're with us. I know we got started a few minutes late, so we've been going for about an hour now. And I want to open this up in a little bit to do some Q&A. So yeah, thank you guys for the feedback. So basically what I'm going to do is just kind of show you some comparison between crypto and some other markets. And again, just kind of recap everything that we've talked about so far today. So turn the PowerPoint back on. So, cryptocurrencies versus other investments today, this is kind of like what your options are, right? So like we've been in basically a low to no interest environment for several years now. Like savings accounts, you're going to get maybe like 1% or 2%. It's 5-year CDs, maybe a couple percent. Real estate appreciates at 7% a year, but it's actually lower after like expenses and taxes. And a good average return in the stock market has been 10% a year historically, right? That's like a good return. Now with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin obviously has been the best performing currency of 2015 and 2016, and it's up over 400% so far this year. And so like our goal, and again, sometimes we lose money, sometimes we break even, sometimes we make more than this, but like my personal goal every time I take a trade is to make at least 15 to 30% per trade. Now, again, you're not going to put your whole portfolio in every trade, but the other goal is to look to make money trading both sides of the big moves, right? Not just buy and hope, and if I can just get one thing across, like I don't care if you want to just accumulate and be a long-term hodler, right? Holder, or if you want to be an active 24/7, just drink coffee and live, eat and breathe crypto like Rocky does. Or somewhere in between, right? Like no matter what your goal is, I would just encourage everybody to have a plan, right? To really think through like how you want to structure your portfolio, how you want to approach trading as a casino and not the gambler, right? So also just to kind of compare like trading Bitcoin versus the stock market, if you want to be a day trader in the stock market, there's something called the pattern day trader rule, which means you need $25,000 in your account to take 3 or more trades a week. With Bitcoin, there's no minimum, right? Like you can literally fund an account with $100 and trade with that. And that's what I love. Like crypto has really given the financial markets back to the individual investor, right? Like over the past decade or two, I've seen the stock market go from what I thought, in my own opinion, was a pretty fair playground to an environment that's been dominated by high frequency algorithms, and like it's sad what it's become. But with crypto, like there's no account minimum, and it's also, anybody around the world can open a trading account in under 10 minutes, right? So it's just leveled the playing field. And I love the stories that we've been getting from our students that have done really well over the past few years. And I just feel really good about where crypto is headed. And the other thing that I'll say is there's way less trading competition than in the stock market. Like in the stock market, again, you're competing against professional traders, algorithms, big hedge funds, right? With crypto, it's like a decentralized global market, right? So there's a lot more inefficiencies and there's a lot more volatility, right? Bigger price swings, which means more opportunity. Okay. So that's why I love crypto. That's why we trade it. That's why I abandoned the stock market several years ago, and why we've just gone all in on this. And so, we've got, like I said, we've got traders in our community all around the world. Some of you guys maybe have heard of this guy, BTC Kyle. He actually has done leagues above this now, but he started with $480 and then traded it up actively to about 50 grand, I think in 2016. And then since then has just absolutely crushed it. Matthew, this is one of our guys who's in South Korea. I actually met with him and had lunch with him in Korea. He's just been absolutely crushing it the past few years. Frank was a guy that he's from the food and beverage background. So he wasn't an active trader and has done very well for himself. Edward Blake, some of you guys know him. He has a YouTube channel. He's just been absolutely crushing the markets lately. So, we get stories all the time. And I just want to really drive home, like, again, if you're new to Bitcoin, if you're new to cryptocurrency, why this is so powerful, right? Like, you can get started quickly. There's no account or funding minimums, and the emotional money that we have right now, like literally everybody from Paris Hilton, Mayweather, CEOs of the global banks, like everybody is focused in on this stuff now. So what that does is it creates a lot of emotion, which is big volatility. And that is good if you're an active trader with a plan. It's bad. It's actually can be devastating if you're a buy and hope investor without a plan, right? So maybe some of you guys have made that mistake where, you got emotional, you saw the market dumping and you're like, oh, I just got to get out. I can't take it, right? Our goal is to teach you how to flip that on its head and find the opportunity, right? Find where the profits are and how you can approach it like a professional, right? And finally, like you don't need to trade all day. So what I'm going to do, guys, for those of you that are interested in what we do, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the boot camp that we have. It's an 8-week training program. And if you guys are interested in that, awesome. If it's a fit for you, great. If not, that's cool too. So for just the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you what that's about. And for those of you that are excited about that and you're like, yeah, I want to hit the ground running, I'll tell you guys how you can actually get started with that. And then we'll do some Q&A and we'll go through charts and any other questions that you guys have. But before, I know we've been going a little bit over time. So before we get too deep into the Q&A, I just want to tell you guys about this and then we'll keep going. So, just kind of a recap of what we've covered so far. We talked about the 3 best strategies: accumulating, swing trading, and scalping. We've also looked at, Bitcoin and done some step-by-step analysis from some of our recent trades, like in Bitcoin, the dip buys and the breakouts, and Stratus and Ethereum. Talked a little bit about shorting and how to make money when the prices crash. We've also talked about how, emotion can really cause volatility, which is great for traders. And then how we're approaching the markets and our favorite trade setups going into October of this year. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to quickly tell you about our 60-day crypto trading and investing bootcamp and what this is all about. And again, there is absolutely zero pressure to join our community, guys. I'm going to be sending out a digital copy of my book after the class today. And so what this boot camp is for anybody who's like, look, Chris, like I really see the opportunity with Bitcoin right now. I want to hit the ground running. I want to either be a smart investor or an active trader or both and learn how to do it the right way. So for anybody that's thinking that, great. We'll tell you what this is about, and then we'll jump into some Q&A. So what we do is every month we actually open up several spots because Rocky and I are just two people, and we do live Q&A classes with our bootcamp students. So we're opening up 30 spots today, and the class actually starts today. So it's a self-paced online program with weekly classes. So even if you're not like in Eastern time zone, or even if you can't personally get started today, we'll talk about how the structure works, but we are opening up those 30 spots today. So it's 60 days of step-by-step lessons to learn how to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies. So over the past few years, like we've had different courses. Obviously, we have our trading community with trade alerts. And what we've done is we've refined it into an A to Z training program to teach you everything you need and the skills that you need to put a plan in place for yourself. So there's actually two phases of how this works. So phase one is where you learn everything that you need to know. And in the first week, what we do is we help you build a foundation for success by looking at technical analysis. So, we talked a little bit about technical analysis today. We tried to keep it kind of at the 30,000 foot overview. But this is where we go deep and show you all of the different tools we use, the different trading plans that we have. And then in the second week, we jump into fundamental analysis. Okay. So fundamental analysis is all about finding profitable coins early. Okay. This is where, if you want to accumulate, if you want to analyze, like, is this project a scam? Is this project, does it have massive opportunity and big potential, or is it somewhere in between? Like, how do you actually analyze a new cryptocurrency on a fundamental level? It's very different than the stock market. And then in week 3, it's all about market psychology, right? So like looking at market sentiment, right? Like big trends, how to actually see the emotion in price action. And then in week 4, this is where we go into actual trading strategies, like rules for the trade setups, entries, all of the little nitty gritty, like orders, how to execute trades, how to get in, how to get out, how to set stop orders, profit targets, like everything. All these lessons kind of build on each other over time. So this is the first 30 days. This is where you learn everything that you need to know in phase 1. Then in phase 2, this is like the skill development process. So a lot of people just want to like read a book and then jump into the markets and think they're going to be successful. But the reality is that trading and investing is a performance activity. It's like golf or chess or poker, right? Like you have to first learn what you're doing and then practice doing it to become proficient at it. And I just see so many like newer traders and investors that jump into the markets and just start swinging for the fences. And some people get lucky, right? But I think it's going to be way less stressful and more effective if you actually develop a skill. So in week 5, this is where we actually go into preparing you for live trading. And then in week 6, we do a lot of practice trading. You test your execution skills, and you make sure that you have confidence in your ability to actively trade. And then week 7, this is all about strategy, execution, and journaling, right? Where you actually begin trading and journaling what you're doing. And then in week 8, this is where we do a lot of trade reviews. And then hopefully if you're on point with your plan, this is where you can begin to grow your size, right? So, I mean, we've literally taken feedback from over the past like 3 or 4 years of teaching people around the world how to do this and created this A to Z program. Now, we also have 8 weekly bootcamp Q&A classes. So as you're going through these lessons, we do classes where we basically review both the beginner and advanced lessons. We analyze recent trades. We have unlimited Q&A for you to get to all the questions that you have through the lessons or your practice sessions. And then for the 30 folks that are going to join the bootcamp for this coming month, you're also going to get 60 days access to the trader and investor community. Okay. So I'll tell you what that's all about. So in our community, the first bonus here is the live trading room. So we have a trading room that's open 24/7, and this is where you get to interact with other traders. We have people that are both new or experienced. Some people are managing funds. Some people are just, trading small accounts. We have Q&A in this room as well. And then what we do is we actually keep I don't know if you can see this text, but we keep a document posted in the trading room at all times that shows you what our positions are and any new trades. That way you have kind of a quick recap of what we're doing and what we're thinking. And then every day, Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, Rocky or I will come on the microphone and share our screen and do a live trading session where basically we review what positions we have open. We review what's on our watch list. We talk about any relevant news. So basically this is, a lot of people use this as kind of like their home base to say, okay, let me just check in with the markets, see what's happening, see what Rocky and Chris are doing. And that's live every day at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Also our trade alerts. So we send trade alerts anytime that we take a swing trade or a longer term trade. Obviously, if there's a quick 2-minute scalp, we don't send an alert via email for that, because by the time the trade's done, we're usually out of it. But for big swing trades, we will have trade plans that'll help you get prepared ahead of time, right? It's one thing to get an alert and go, oh, they just bought here. It's another thing to know what your plan is ahead of time. And then anytime we buy or sell, we send an alert. Also, we do recaps where we go step by step through a trade once it's done, no matter if it's a winner or a loser. And then we do weekly recaps of what the trades were from that week. And then we also do monthly market reports. This is kind of like a newsletter that shows everything that's happening in the community, any new coins coming out, any longer term plays. So those are really helpful as well. So we're going to get to Q&A in a second, but I wanted just to kind of tell you guys about the boot camp. And for you folks that want to join us, I'll show you how you can do that now. You can actually get registered and get immediate access to the training. And then we'll get back to the Q&A and charts. So what's the investment? My goal whenever we put this together was to make it affordable and flexible for any serious trader's budget, right? Now, again, this is, it is an investment because there's a lot of time that goes in from Rocky and I, and it's just a complete A to Z program that shows you exactly how to trade and invest in crypto. So when we release this to the public, the regular tuition for the crypto boot camp is going to be $29.97. But I know we have a ton of folks, nearly 1,000 people on this webinar. So for you guys that want to join us today, what we're going to do is we're going to knock $1,000 off of that. Okay. So for those of you that want to join this boot camp, we're going to knock $1,000 off. So it's just one payment of $19.97. And again, we are limiting this to 30 people. So whenever we put the link up, feel free to put your registration in. And if last time we did this, guys, last month, the website actually crashed. Our server crashed. So if you can't get on the website right away, which hopefully that doesn't happen again, but if you can't, just give it a couple of minutes and that'll pop up. So again, here's the link, and here's just kind of a recap of everything that you get with this. If you want to join us in this boot camp, just go to skillincubator.com/bootcamp. And again, what you get is the 60 days of step-by-step lessons. We also have exercises and quizzes to help you develop your skills. And we do those weekly live Q&A classes. And then you also get 60 days access to our trading community, where we have trade alerts, our trading room, our daily market updates, and the monthly crypto market report. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I will pop up the chat here in a second. But I'm also going to pop up a link in the room for those of you that want to get rolling on this. And we'll also just set kind of a timer for 20 minutes. So we'll do at least 20 minutes of Q&A. And if you guys see down in the chat box where you go to type something, there's actually a drop down where you can choose chat or Q&A. If you hit the Q&A, what that's going to do is it's going to put it in a different section where we can see your question, because the chat usually goes so fast that we can't keep up with it. So I'm going to give you guys about a minute or two. For those of you that want to join us, go ahead and do that. Excuse me. And then I'm going to actually pull the live market back up, and then we can look at different markets. We can talk about, you know, whatever questions you guys have for the next 20 minutes or so. All right. So thank you guys. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up. And again, if you have questions, try to use that Q&A module. So just do me a quick favor. If you can still hear me clearly and see my screen, just type a Y in the chat box, and that'll let us know that we're good and ready to keep rolling. So just type a Y in the chat box, and I will switch back over to the chart here in about 30 seconds. Yeah, Juan, we're going to actually email the book out probably about an hour after the class is over. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. So, Rocky, if you want to help me also, what we're going to do is I'm going to answer some questions on the microphone, and then Rocky's also going to help me with the Q&A. So you might get a response back from him in the chat box. All right, cool. So Samuel, how do you determine if you're doing a high probability trade? Well, that's actually where the trade setups come in. So the trade setups have very specific criteria for what a trade actually is, right? Like for a breakout trade, we have very specific criteria for that. After please cover how to hedge and use leverage and trade setups for technical analysis. We'll come back to that when we pull up the charts. How can we tell if the next green is the start of a breakout or the beginning of a higher low to start a new low or a downtrend? So Justin, the biggest thing that I look for is a break of a key resistance level in the market with volume, right? So let me go ahead and actually pull up the chart here. All right. So like, we'll just use this example of 3,000. So the first thing, Justin, that I do is when it comes to breakouts, I look for a break on the daily chart, right? Like a key resistance level. Okay. So I don't look at like a 15-minute chart or something like that. Like I'm looking on the daily chart. And then number two is when price stabs through, I look for strong volume intraday. So maybe like on a 1 hour chart. So my two favorite time frames are either the daily chart for finding like the resistance area. And then when we start to break through, what I look for is like, I'll go down to an hourly chart right here. And then I'll look for strong volume intraday to confirm that that's actually a strong breakout, right? Hopefully that makes sense. How do you determine, oh, I answered that one. Which trading website do you use? So Valentin, this is Coinigy. This is the charting platform that I use. And then the exchanges. So with crypto, you actually don't need a broker. You can just trade directly through the exchanges. So you can see this is a list of the exchanges that link through Coinigy. Do the exchanges let you buy and sell on margin? Can you short altcoins? Rocco, so it depends on the exchange. And it depends on what country you're in. And it depends on the altcoin. So not all altcoins are shortable. And not all exchanges actually allow you to short. So there are several exchanges that are really, really good at shorting and have margin. And then there's others that don't. And in the basics module, we actually have tutorials on all of the different exchanges that we use. Yeah, Laura, we're sending that book out. Uh, to trade cryptocurrencies, do I need to leave my coins on an exchange? Yeah. So one thing that I'll say about exchanges, Mark, is you don't want to treat an exchange like like a bank account, right? Like a lot of these are not FDIC insured. So I only, and I'll mark this on the chart, I only leave enough capital on an exchange to enter one trade, right? So like if that exchange gets hacked or if they go out of business or whatever, I've only lost one trade's worth of money. Everything else goes on a hardware wallet like a Ledger or Trezor or something like that. Yeah, as long as technology cooperates, we should have a replay of this. Your favorite brokers for first-time buyers. So if you're in the US, I think kind of the easiest way to buy is through Coinbase. The US or actually many, many other countries now. I say the US because I'm in the US, but Coinbase is a great place to kind of start. What is Ethereum? Ethereum is an altcoin. So it's historically been either number 2 or number 3. So if you go to Coin Market Cap, and I'll pull this up, but if you go to coinmarketcap.com, you'll see a list of cryptocurrencies, and you can see Bitcoin is number 1, Ethereum is number 2, with a market cap of about $28 billion. And what's crazy to me is Ethereum started with, what was it, Rocky, like a $16 million ICO or pre-ICO?
Yeah, I think they raised like 18 million, and the token started at 35 cents or something like that as the ICO price.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And to see where it's gone from literally like nothing to $28 billion. But yeah, this is where you can just see the list of all the cryptocurrencies in order of market cap, or you can sort in different ways. Can we invest in someone managing funds? Richard, so we don't manage anybody else's money. And in fact, guys, I just want to kind of put a warning out there. Be very, very, very cautious if anybody ever approaches you and offers to manage your money in cryptocurrency. There are so many scams, and there are people that actually create like fake profiles of me and several other people that do like YouTube videos or training in the crypto space. Just don't ever send your crypto to anybody that claims they can trade it for you. Be your own money manager. You know, there's a reason why we call this the personal banking revolution. Like, you know, you want to be in control of your money, right? Gone are the days of like trusting some financial advisor who can't even beat the S&P, right? Like, I'm a big proponent of controlling your own capital. We'll talk about some individual coins too, Charles. Rocky, maybe you want to chime in on this too, IOTA?
So, I mean, I don't like the fact that it started off as a $1 billion plus market cap. It's a little bit too high for my liking. And
yeah.
Apparently they're trying to write their own cryptography, to invent or create their own cryptography, which is a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. So I'm not really in that market.
Yeah. Looking at the chart, so it trades mostly on Bitfinex.
Bitfinex, yeah.
Yeah, what am I looking at? So if we compare it to USD, basically we're on the backside of a trend. So it's kind of mid-range. I would keep this on watch, but I don't see a trade immediately from here.
There's a newish market that hit Bitfinex. That's kind of like a Chinese blockchain platform called Metaverse ETP. That one kind of looks interesting, and it's much cheaper market cap of only 22 million.
Nice. What's the smallest candlestick time period you feel comfortable using for analysis? What's your preferred? So again, we kind of use the daily as kind of home base. So you'll see like the 1D. And then if we want to drill down, I'll do an hourly. And very rarely do we go lower than that. Like an hourly is good whenever you're trying to pinpoint an entry or an exit. Or if you're scalping, Rocky, what's the smallest that you'll use?
For time frames for scalping?
Yeah. Like, do you ever go down below an hourly?
Oh yeah, I scalp on the minute chart, and I watch the dominant exchange Bitfinex when I'm scalping.
Yeah. Nice. William, is there a promo code for the boot camp? If you go to that link, William, the promo code is actually already in there. So if you just go to skillincubator.com/bootcamp, it looks like the site's back up. I think we did lose the server there for a second, but do we have to wait for 3 confirmations before we can sell on the same day? So before we can sell on the same day? No. So there's no, Helen, I think you're asking like T+3, like in the stock market where it takes time for something to clear. The answer to that's what you're asking is no, it's instant clearing. Now, if you're asking about like Bitcoin confirmations, yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on the crypto, how many confirmations, that way you kind of protect against double spend, right? So blockchains work in different ways, and exchanges require a different level of like confirmations for withdrawals and deposits. So there is a little bit of a time delay. But yeah, I mean, you can buy and sell multiple times within the span of one day. How do I identify a true bottom? So crypto, that is the $1 trillion question, right? So what we do, and I'll just give you kind of a general thing that I think can help anybody. Okay. So like when looking for a bottom, use a few, I'll say it like this. We use a few things. One, major market structure zones, meaning major areas of support and resistance that we can see from the daily chart. Okay. We also use Fibonacci, and I can't type today, Fibonacci retracements and extensions to find what we call high probability areas, right? The more areas that you can stack at a price level, the higher the probability is that that level is going to hold. So you don't always know with 100% certainty where a bottom in a market is, but the more odds that you can stack in the favor, the stronger that level becomes. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So for example, like this is how we use like fib retracements. If you look at this run from, call it like 2000 to 5000 as a run, what you can do is there's a Fibonacci retracement tool here, and you can see that not only did the 3000 round number come in where there was prior resistance turned support, but this was also what we call the 61% retracement level, which is a very high probability bounce level after you're coming off of a big trend. So this was like a really, really big pullback, but it actually came to a really strong Fibonacci level that also lined up with the price point. So that's how we do it. We just look for confluence. We look for more reasons. The more reasons we can stack at a level, the higher the probability is that that level is going to hold, right? What is your thoughts on the BitConnect investing platform? I haven't done anything with BitConnect. I think it's kind of like an MLM in a way. Rocky, do you have any experience with it?
Nope. Not at all.
Nope.
I stay away from anything that looks like a multi-level marketing or Ponzi scheme.
Mm-hmm. The biggest red flag for me is if you ever see, and there's a lot of these out there now, if you ever see anybody talking about like guaranteed returns, like earn 1% a day or earn X over this time period guaranteed, pretty much every single time you hear that, it's going to be a scam. And the way that they're able to make those claims is when Bitcoin's price is going up and when there's new money flowing in, it works. But when liquidity dries up, they can't pay those out anymore. So just stay away from anything that claims to have a guaranteed ROI. With volume, you mean a specific amount of buy or sell orders in a specific time? Yeah, Mel. So the way that volume works is like, so you have these candlesticks, right? If you look down here, these are the amount of Bitcoins that were traded during this time period. So like you can see this big reversal candle day. This had, if you look up here in the top left, it will tell you that there was 180,000 green volume there, right? So basically it's not the orders, it's the executed trades at that. Like you can place an order and it doesn't get filled, but these are the actual trades that occurred during that time period. My Bitcoins are on blockchain. Is that an exchange? You're talking about blockchain.info? Yeah, you have different wallets. So it might be in a wallet like that, but an exchange, at least right now, most exchanges are centralized services. There are decentralized exchanges coming out, but they don't have much liquidity right now. But an exchange is a service or a company like Bitfinex or like Coinbase. And so there's risk, right? There's counterparty risk whenever you have money on an exchange. If it's just in a wallet on the blockchain and you control the private key, that's the safest way to store your coins. WEX tokens, Jordan, let's see. Where's this trading? No, there's literally like, this coin is not worth anything. If it starts to attract some liquidity, then it'll pop up on our watch lists. But, you know, like for me to be interested in a coin, I want to see at least like a $10 million market cap, meaning total value of all the coins. All right. So let's see. I'm going to try to get through these questions pretty quick, try to get to as many as we can. I know we're running over time. I want to try to get to as many as we can, but we will wrap it up in a few minutes. I just want to be respectful of everybody's time. And again, you know, thank you guys for coming. I hope you got value out of this. And, you know, again, if there's one point that I can drive home, it's no matter what strategy you want to use, if you want to accumulate, if you want to buy dips and swing trade and stack capital while prices are high, or if you're looking to scalp every move, like just first decide and then take the time to develop the skills so you can do it the right way. What will happen? Oh, here we go. I was expecting more people to ask this, but Zvanko, hopefully I pronounced that right. What's going to happen with Bitcoin in the near future? So I'll tell you guys my trading plan. Okay. I know we've only got a few minutes left, so let me ask you guys, just throw a Y in the chat box if you want to hear kind of our predictions for Bitcoin, or at least how we are positioned right now. Just throw a Y in the chat box if you want to hear how we're actively trading this. All right. Awesome. You guys are still awake. Thanks for hanging in there with us. So here's the play. So you can see back here on the 14th and 15th, we actually sent these alerts for a bounce off of the 3,000 level. So this was Rocky's alert. He also bought Ethereum down around $200 or so, Rocky?
Yeah.
Cool. And then, so you took profit into prior resistance, scaled out of half of your trade. So then fast forwarding to today. So Rocky is long again with 30% of his USD hedge. So looking for a potential breakout above 4,000. I'm still holding about half of my original dip buy from the low 32 to 3,300 level. And basically what I'm looking for at this point is we're either going to roll over as a big like head and shoulders pattern here. But if we can maintain the trend, I'm looking for an extension to the upside. Meaning if we measure this trend, you know, the next major target is obviously 5,000 because that's prior resistance, but that's also the 61% extension. So from here, either, you know, 5,000, and then the next profit target from there, just based on this immediate move, would be 6, right? I like how anytime you have a Fibonacci number that lines up with a big round number, as you guys can notice, I mean, Bitcoin loves these big round numbers. Back here, we bounced off 2,000. Here we had a breakout at 3,000. Here we found resistance at 5,000, then back to 4,000, then 3,000. So these big round numbers have been very precise and very reliable. So if that maintains to be true, I'm going to keep holding the rest of this bounce play trade and see what happens. Now, if we can't hold above this low, if we roll over and stab below that, I'm going to cut the rest of that trade off. That's just my risk management plan. So the bounce play from here, for it to be intact, I'm expecting 3,600 to hold. So if it rolls over and consolidates and grinds higher, that's cool. If not, I'll cut it off and then reevaluate. But right now, you can see coming off of yesterday, we actually broke out above this prior pivot high. And so we're kind of hanging out, retesting 4,000, which was prior resistance, now turned support, right? So that's kind of where we're at. We're kind of in what I call open air right now, meaning right now we're not really at a strong price level. We're kind of mid-range, and things look more bullish, meaning I'm anticipating higher prices. But price action, when you're mid-range like this, it can actually get quite choppy, right? Like you'll notice last time that we had a sell-off and we were mid-range, that lasted about a month, right? It consolidated, dumped down to support, and then finally we got more momentum. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more consolidation around 4,000. Okay. So that's it. So I'm long, Rocky's long.
I actually flipped a big chunk of that, those Bitcoin into the Zcash dip this morning because I thought it was a better play.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So on Polo or?
Well, I don't really trade as much on Polo on Bitfinex.
Yeah.
But it had a really big sell-off today, which kind of retested some prior resistance. Basically kind of like a classic sell on the news event.
Yep.
There's also a descending trend line retest of resistance as well. My first Zcash entry was around 190. So I added to my position. This one might be, I might just sell on a 50% retrace bounce for half of it just to lock in some profit and then let the rest ride. So depending on how far this bounces today, like it's, it's starting to bounce like right now. So depending on where it bounces today, I might lock in some profit today.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You have that one big breakout bar, and then it put in like a V top to retest the breakout level, which is also a major price level of support right there at 300. So I like that you got a good average fill because you scaled in prior to the breakout. And then where did you add today?
Around the 300 level.
Oh, on the breakout?
No, on the dip.
Oh, nice.
I slept throughout that dump. Otherwise, I would have taken profit when it cracked above 400. I would have at least taken a bit of profit. But I could have stacked some limit orders, but I think we're gonna break new highs, to be honest.
Rocky,
But
you mean you slept through a 50% breakout?
yeah.
Guys, I have this running joke with Rocky that he never sleeps because like he'll do these like trading marathons in the trading room at like 3 a.m. sometimes. And I'm like, dude, you got to get some rest. But that's
Asia loves to dump early morning when I'm sleeping.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see if 300 can hold. I mean, I definitely see buyers, stacking up here and holding support. So
I'm kind of thinking if it bounces up to like mid range between those two, I'll probably close my recent dip buy and just let my 190 trade ride.
Nice.
For like if it breaks into new highs, I'll just let that one ride. Yeah. I've got like 800 as a possible target if we break the all-time highs.
That would be nuts. That would take a lot of volume, which we're starting to see. I mean, look, this is the highest trading volume, at least on Bitfinex ever. So
yeah, it's pushing like over 220 million in trading volume on multiple exchanges. So
yeah,
I think it's, this is kind of like what I was talking about, because altcoins have been very, very choppy the past few months. We had an amazing altcoin bull run. And then the last bull run was all about Bitcoin, and altcoins are choppy except for like a couple markets. But usually if you start to see like one market break new highs and really start to trend, then it's usually a sign that we're going to see money cycling through some other markets. So I think it'd be great if Zcash could break all-time highs, because that'll be good for some other markets.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Attract more liquidity.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, guys. Let's do this. I'm going to answer a few more questions. And for anybody that hasn't gotten registered, if you guys want to join the boot camp, I'll just put that link back up for a second, and then we will answer some questions. Does the boot camp include tutorials on coinage and tools like fib retracements, etc.? Absolutely, Craig. That's actually all in the first week. So again, like just kind of run through what you learn. So the first week is technical analysis, and each week is a new topic. So week 1 is TA. Week 2 is fundamental analysis. And then we go in, from there. Each lesson builds on the next. So, yeah. So I see a lot of questions about the book. We're going to be emailing that out after we close the class today. Sure thing. See some questions about taxes. So for anybody asking about taxes, I have to defer you to your tax professional, because I can tell you, like, even my tax guys and ladies are all still trying to figure this stuff out. So it depends on where you live. It depends on how your structures are set up, corporate or personal. And it is just a nightmare. I can say that, but pay your taxes, because they got Al Capone. They couldn't get him for murder, but they got him on taxes. So pay your taxes, people. Lance, good question. What is the worst trading mistake that you or Rocky have made with Bitcoin? Well, Lance, I can tell you with confidence that every single mistake that a trader could make, I have made it. From buying when I meant to sell, or vice versa, or emotionally panicking, like everything from technical mistakes to mental mistakes. I've been through it all. And I literally have over 10,000 hours of my life sitting in front of charts. A good portion of that was in the stock market. I day traded for several years, full time, day in and day out. And, now I can tell you there's a reason why I just swing trade and accumulate and look for the big moves. The less you do in a market, the less room there is for error. Rocky, what about you, man? What's your biggest mistake?
It's a good question. Biggest mistake. Definitely, like my biggest mistakes when I first started trading in 2013, I came in with all the dumb money up at, the 1300 level or whatnot when things were high. But fortunately at that point in my life, I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't really load the boat. Mostly lost money on the mining equipment. If anything, but I made up for that in spades. But like specific trading mistake, I don't know. I mean, you know, sometimes trading can get messy. You know, sometimes it's not always clean and perfect and stuff. But if trading gets messy, you got to be quick on your feet and know how to adapt. You know, how can you, if you're in a crappy trade, can you flip it? Can you take the lemons and make lemonade and flip it, you know, and turn it into something profitable?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, just one example, you know, last night when I decided to buy back into Bitcoin, which I kind of violated my cardinal, like, you know, it's like, for me, it's a cardinal sin to buy back in a bit higher than where I sold. And I kind of violated that, had, you know, had a little bit of wine last night when I did that. And this morning, this morning, I was like, you know what, that wasn't a really good area to enter. And I was like, ooh, but look at Zcash here. Zcash sold off a bunch. I think I'll just flip that into Zcash, and there's probably a higher chance of it making a move and bouncing. And sure enough, it's in the process of bouncing right now. So it's not like that was like a complete nosebleed move. I mean, Bitcoin's only down like 0.5% from that entry, but I was able to flip that, and now I think Zcash is up like, you know, 8% or whatever. So
nice. So check this out, Rocky. This just reminded me of, you remember the summer of 2016?
Yeah.
Finex hack. So this is actually a really good mistake to learn from, guys. So if you notice here on the daily chart, notice how there's like 1, 2, 3, like half a dozen days where there's no trading action on Bitcoin. This is crazy what happened. So I shorted like right before they got hacked, like somewhere like right in there. And then what happened, so the mistake was I only had a short on one exchange. And what happened is when Bitfinex got hacked, the price actually on other exchanges went down to like 475 or something to like retest this breakout level. So it would have been an awesome trade. But my mistake was I only shorted on one exchange. And when they got hacked, not only did I not make the money from the beautiful short trade, but I actually lost, at least temporarily, a big portion of the money that I had on Bitfinex because they got hacked. Now, they did the whole token thing, and a lot of people got most of their money back. But one thing that I've learned from that is diversify between exchanges. Like, sign up and have accounts with as many exchanges as you can. And this is probably, for me, the most frustrating thing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is the exchanges. You know, it's such a new space, and like the regulatory issues are so unclear and they're changing so quickly. You know, we have new exchanges coming out. We have old ones that shut down. You know, it takes some effort to protect your capital. And so for me, that's the most frustrating thing, but it's worth the time investment. And you want to learn and you want to do it right. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. So I see a couple of people asking when the next boot camp is. I don't know when we're going to open up more spots, but just shoot us an email, support@skillincubator.com, and we can let you know when the next one's kicking off. So awesome. Thanks, Lance. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's answer just a couple more questions, guys, and then we will wrap it up. Do you prefer hardware wallets? Absolutely. Moaz, yeah, we have several on our list for swing trades that we do a daily noon update, and we review those every single day. Are coins legit when lots of coins are not in circulation and held by developers like Neo and Ripple and stuff like that? So so basically the question is, guys, when you're looking at a coin and a lot of the supply of the coin is held by the developers, that is a red flag for us. That's a weakness on the fundamental side, because that means that, you know, a couple of things. Incentives might be misaligned. If you have a whale or an insider that just wants to get out and they dump on the market, it could cause the price to collapse. So we do take that into consideration. Rocky, any other comments on that, like supply or?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to look at the cold, harsh, brutal reality of what an ICO is. Basically sometimes it's just a bunch of nerds in their parents' basement. They create a token, then they sell it to you for Bitcoin and keep like 20% of the supply for themselves. Well, so they're just kind of creating their own money on thin air, and then other people are buying it. Sometimes they can be quite profitable when that kid in his parents' basement's name is Vitalik Buterin, then obviously that turns into something quite profitable. Yep. But, at the end of the day, you can invest in them, you can make money, but you also just got to look at the risk straight in the face and what it is exactly that you're doing. And that, we're on this ICO craze and bubble right now where everybody and their grandmother and celebrities are all shilling tokens right now, right? Like everyone's, like at least in 2013, 2014, when we came in as the new money in crypto, it was all about like proof of work mining and this and that. And, pre-mine was considered dirty and all that stuff. But, at least the noobs back in those days, I'm like, hey, I just learned about crypto like 2 weeks ago. I'm going to raise $40 million in an ICO, yeah. I mean, the new money coming in is just like absolutely greedy with this ICO bubble. It's ridiculous. So I think most of them are going to turn into garbage, but you could definitely make money flipping them for sure.
Yeah. And, just one final point I'll say about ICOs, like I'm actually really excited to see, if anybody is in the aware of like the traditional startup space, like guys like Sam Altman, the guy that runs, Y Combinator and basically has incubated some of the biggest, unicorns. He's really looking at the ICO model to tokenize traditional startups. So like, I feel like we're kind of going through this. There's a lot of BS right now in the ICO space, but I think it's only going to mature and get better as things progress. I think exchanges are going to get better. Counterparty risk is going to become lower. The quality of ICOs, I think, will improve, and the quantity, the amount of new ICOs will dramatically drop, and people will become more selective, right? Like right now, it's just kind of like a lot of people have the throw money at the wall and see what happens mentality. That's very dangerous, right? It works when you're in a bull market, but that's how you get crushed when things turn around. So, all right, Christopher, do we have to be in the boot camp to receive trade alerts? So you can, if you just want to join our trading community, you can find that on Skill Incubator. I just think that the boot camp is a really solid thing to go through so you learn what you're doing, right? Like if you try to blindly follow somebody's trade alerts, we just don't recommend that. You really want to learn what you're doing. Let's see. When do you think we'll have another bear market? That's the question. I don't try to pick tops in markets for this specific reason. A lot of people, like I would say most people, did not think at the beginning of the year that we would be at $5,000 today. Like, sure, like people make wild and crazy predictions, but if you ask like most people, like where they thought price would be in September or October of this year, back in January, very few people would have thought that it would have gone this high. So I don't pick tops. We're on the front, what I call the front side of a trend right now. And we could go straight to 10,000, right? Like that we could look back 6 months from now and be like, yo, we're at 10,000, or it might roll over and go into a bear trend tomorrow. So there's two ways to analyze the markets, guys. There's two types of trades. There's two mentalities. You have, didn't want to do that. Okay. You have two types of ways to analyze the market. You have anticipatory trades and you have reactionary trades. Okay. So anticipatory trades is where you would say something like, I anticipate that 5,000 is the all-time high, and I'm just going to blindly short this market and hope that it goes down over time. Reactionary trades are where you get information from the market, usually in price action, and you say like, okay, the market rolled over and I have a trade set up that I'm going to react to because I have specific criteria that are met, right? That's what we look for, right? We don't try to anticipate and say, well, I guess we're going to go in a bear trend now. We wait until we have a setup that shows us, no, there's a high probability that that's happening right now. That's when we'll start to do that. So the question is, we're mid-range, we're long, and we're going to be long until the market proves us otherwise. All right, guys. Well, look, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We went way over. So thank you guys for hanging out with us for so long. I hope you got some value out of this today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, either email or Twitter or whatever. I try to get back to people as quick as I can. It's been really crazy the past few weeks because we moved into a new, bigger office. So I'm behind a little bit, but if there's ever anything I can do for you guys, feel free to reach out. Like I said, I'm going to be emailing everybody that stayed on the webinar with us today a copy of the book. So if you guys want to read through that, you're more than welcome to. Again, the one thing that I just want everybody to kind of walk away from today, kind of understanding, is just the process of like, choose what strategy you want to implement, right? What time frame do you want to be an accumulator? Do you want to be a swing trader or a scalper? All of the above or none of the above, right? And then develop the skill set to make that happen. So, all right. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to 99 Bitcoins for partnering with us on this class. Also Carter Thomas, an awesome guy who's been doing some incredible YouTube videos. If you guys don't follow Carter, follow him on YouTube. His channel is Coin Mastery. Also Rocky, my partner, my buddy, my crypto hustler. Thank you for being here, man. Follow him on Twitter. He's hilarious on Twitter at Crypto Hustle.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Absolutely. It's always a blast. We have a lot of fun trading. We have a lot of fun in the trading community, and it's great. It's awesome.
Yep. Hey, look, Satoshi's here.
Oh, nice.
I knew you were hiding here somewhere, Satoshi.
Who knew Satoshi trades shitcoins?
All right, guys. I'll pop the link one more time for anybody that wants to get started with boot camp. I think we have a few spots open. I have to check with my team when we wrap this up. But if the page is up, it means we have some spots. Yeah, great note to end on. Thanks, Satoshi. He's coming out of hiding just for this class. He, she, or they. All right, guys. Thanks again. Again, reach out if you have any questions about tech issues or getting signed up. Just email us. I'm going to type this in the room: support@skillincubator.com. And then also, what I'll do. For those of you that have that are doing the boot camp, let me just kind of walk you through what you'll see here. So let me pull this up. Okay. So check this out. Whenever you do your registration, you're going to get an email with a login to the members area. You'll have two sections. One is called the 8-week boot camp. And you'll see these weeks will be released as we produce those lessons. And then also you have a similar course area called the Crypto Trader and Investor Community. This is where you see the trading room. You see the trade alerts, the market updates, and all that stuff. And then that's it. So once you get in here, just watch the welcome videos. And this will kind of explain how everything works, the login to the trading room and all that. And then also here, just start going through the crypto basics. Like we have tutorials on all the exchanges, and then you're going to have access to week number 1's training right away. So there's 2 welcome videos. There's one in the bootcamp section, and then there's one in the trader and investor community. So just watch both of those. And again, if you ever have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We have an awesome support team. And that's that. So to the moon. Don, yeah. So that's a good question. You actually have lifetime access to those lessons, so they don't go away. Like you have access to those 8 weeks. So it's self-paced. So like if you can't do a lesson a day, or maybe you like to batch your lessons, like you'll have access to those forever. So yeah, and if there's ever any weird like scheduling issues, or if you guys ever need help, just reach out to us, and well, we like to try to work with people's schedules as much as possible. I mean, we literally have people from like, I think over 100 countries in our curriculum or in our community now. It was crazy when we did our live event in Austin a few weeks ago. I believe we had 9 countries represented just with like 22 people. So I just love how international this is. You know, it's not just like the stock market that's limited to like wealthy individuals. It's like people from all corners of the globe. It's a beautiful thing. So awesome. To the moon, trade smart, invest smart. And thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you had fun. I know we did. Rocky, feel free to say any final thoughts.
Yeah, guys, have fun. Be safe out there. You know, if you're new to trading, start off with small amounts to practice and survive. You need to survive long enough to gain experience and stuff. If you just joined our boot camp in our trading community, welcome, and I'll see you in the trenches. Cheers.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just leave this this link up for anybody that wanted that. Skillincubator.com/bootcamp. And see you guys later. Thanks a lot, guys.